Iron Man 3 was awful. I know I'm in the minority when I say this, but it just did not work for me. The movie, I know it's a superhero movie, I know it's a sort of blockbuster, and I know it's supposed to be fun and campy and, not to be taken seriously. But when it's a $200 million budget, and the best thing I could say about this movie is it looked pretty good and the acting was good. I mean, the acting was fine. The thing is that the actual story itself to me just didn't matter. A lot of these people, all these characters, just didn't matter to me. This whole thing takes place with really good continuity of taking it on right after the Avengers, you know, with the continuity of other superheroes and gods and aliens existing and stuff like that. So it's really cool that they branched this out and really opened it up, and for all these sequels to kind of, I hope, Thor 2 is the same way, and if they make another Captain America and another Hulk, it's the same way as, post Avengers and then Avengers 2 or whatever. Lots of money to be made here by Marvel and Disney. So, for this movie, it's an Iron Man movie without Iron Man, like without the suits. Right away, Tony Stark gets his house blown up, which you see in the previews. There's no spoilers here. I mean, unless I accidentally do later on, but and then he loses all of his gear except for this one suit that he's got going prototype style, where he can summon it to him by gesturing, and he can pull all the pieces together, as it all flies to him, and there's this reoccurring joke at the faceplate, which kind of works. But, he can also put it on other people, and the whole gimmick is that he doesn't have his superpowers. He's just a person, and he gets all of his stuff taken away from him. And that would work if it was, it would be fine, but it was boring for an Iron Man movie. Iron Man 2, while the ending, the climactic battle was pretty lackluster, the movie itself was gripping and interesting, and, it wasn't as good as the first one, and this isn't as good as either of those. Iron Man 3, to me, is the worst of the three. And it's just Tony Stark being scared and being frightened. He did almost die at the end of the Avengers, I understand. But he's terrified this whole movie, and it's so depressing to watch this character just be reduced to this quivering, frightened man who doesn't know what to do because everything that made him super is gone. And I don't know, it just didn't work for me. You got Guy Pearce in there, you got Gwyneth Paltrow, you got Ben Kingsley, you got Don Cheadle, and of course you have Robert Downey Jr. And they all make, they do these really good roles and stuff. He's got this security guard who I know was in the first two, and he was a producer on this movie too. I can't remember his name, but he's got this really dumb story segment where he ends up just being this one plot device, and then basically just kind of gets written out of the movie until the end. And to me, this movie is very much like The Dark Knight Rises, where there's nothing wrong with The Dark Knight Rises. In fact, I put it on my top 10 movies of the last year. But the thing I didn't like about The Dark Knight Rises was Batman was more of a brute in that movie. He didn't use his gadgets all that well. I think he just uses, some of his grappling hooks and some smoke bombs, and he uses plane way, way, way too much in that movie. So you take the gadgets and the environment and the know-how away from Batman, and all you got is this guy going in and trying to beat people up all the time, swinging his fist. That's not Batman. And it's the same thing with Iron Man. You just have Tony Stark losing his mind because he's got this broken, non-combat ready suit too. Like they make the point to say, the suit that he's using isn't combat ready, so he uses these bursts, the bursts of his hands and his feet to propel things, at other people the whole time. So you're watching this Iron Man movie where he's just this dude beating up other people in a suit. It's just I don't know. It didn't work well with me. So you got this huge blockbuster sort of movie that everyone's gonna see, and the problem is it's just gonna make money back, and they're gonna make another one, and then I don't know. I think they didn't. I mean, I think they really had a great idea, but the execution was poor. Just considering, I don't think watching Tony Stark panic on screen for 5 to 10 minutes at a time is that entertaining. That being said, there's nothing virtually wrong with the movie. I can't not recommend this movie. I can't say it's nowhere near as good as the first one. It's not as good as the second one. But people are going to see it anyways. So that's it. Iron Man 3, pretty weak entry. Probably the weakest that I'll probably see for a while. Definitely not the worst Marvel movie ever made, though. That's for sure. But yeah, I mean, it was okay.